Welcome back to Biblical Wisdom, the channel where we uncover deep truths from Scripture, verse by verse, story by story. Today we ask a question many have wondered but few understand. What really happened to Onan, the man who died during sex in Genesis 38? Was it just about sex? Was it about birth control? Masturbation? Why would God strike someone dead for something like that? Get ready, because what we're about to uncover goes far beyond what most people think. This is a story of duty, deceit, and divine justice, and it reveals powerful truths that still speak to us today. Let's set the stage. Genesis 38 tells a side story in the middle of Joseph's saga. It focuses on Judah, one of Jacob's sons. Judah has three sons, Onan, and Shelah. His eldest son, marries a woman named Tamar. But Scripture says, Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Genesis 38 verse 7. That's where Onan comes in, the second son. In the ancient world, especially in Hebrew culture, family legacy was everything. So if a man died without children, his brother was expected to marry the widow and produce a child in the name of the deceased. This was called Levirate marriage. It wasn't about romance, it was about protecting the widow, preserving the family name, and keeping land and inheritance in the family line. This practice later became part of the law of Moses in Deuteronomy 25 verses 5 to 6. Now listen carefully to the next part, because this is where things get misunderstood. Genesis 38 verses 8 to 10 says, Then Judah said to Onan, Sleep with your brother's wife and fulfill your duty to her as a brother-in-law to raise up offspring for your brother. But Onan knew that the child would not be his, so whenever he slept with his brother's wife, he spilled his semen on the ground to keep from providing offspring for his brother. What he did was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death also. Onan wasn't punished for sex. He wasn't even punished for a one-time mistake. He was deliberately disobeying God, using Tamar for pleasure, and denying her the justice and protection she was due. He was pretending to obey, while actively sabotaging the purpose of the relationship. Onan had his reasons, but they were rooted in selfishness. If Tamar had a child with him, that child would legally belong to his deceased brother not to Onan. That meant less inheritance for Onan and his future children. So he made a calculated decision. I'll use Tamar, but I won't fulfill my responsibility to her. Every time they came together, he purposely made sure she would not get pregnant. It was manipulation. It was injustice. And God saw it all. Now let's answer the big question. Why did God strike Onan dead? Because what Onan did was not just personal, it was spiritual rebellion, relational injustice, and a threat to the covenant plan. God had a promise, that through Abraham's family line, a great nation, and one day, the Messiah, would come. Onan's actions weren't just disobedient, they were blocking the flow of God's covenant by putting himself first. And God said, Enough. Just like Onan's wickedness led to judgment. So what does this ancient story have to do with us today? A lot. White heavy checkmark. God sees beyond our actions, he sees the motives. Onan's sin wasn't just physical, it was about a heart that was selfish, deceptive, and disobedient. White heavy checkmark. God cares about justice. Tamar was a widow, vulnerable and wronged. God always sees the ones the world forgets. White heavy checkmark. God's plans will not be stopped. Even though Onan failed, God's promise to Abraham continued. Tamar would later give birth to Perez, an ancestor of Jesus Christ. That's redemption. So the next time someone brings up the story of Onan, you'll know, it's not about shame or judgment, but about justice, truth, and God's faithfulness. If you were blessed by today's teaching, hit that like button, subscribe to Biblical Wisdom, and share this with someone who loves digging deep into the Word. Leave a comment below. What stood out to you in Onan's story? And remember, God sees the heart, honors obedience, and always finishes what he starts. The Lord sees not as man sees, the Lord looks on the heart. 1 Samuel 16 verse 7.